Welcome, everybody, and this is Less is More Coaching Podcast, videocast, new streaming live in 9 separate locations. And my goal here is to open up conversations around critical views and critical viewpoints and sensitive topics, and invite guests on and share this Monday and Tuesday at around 3:15 p.m. Central Standard Time. And as I say around, because today, my first episode, we had technical issues and finally got everything ramped up. And here I am. And to tell you a little bit about me, I am an integrity coach. And I have been able to use the knowledge and experience of all the jobs that I've had up to this point to develop unique customer service techniques and assist sales teams in achieving goals and providing stellar service no matter what the job entailed. And my commitment became to transform the world through communication by helping others realize their untapped potential for improvement. I have led training and development programs for almost 3 decades, and during this time, I've coached thousands of people. I have expertise and experience in designing and implementing entertaining and educational curriculum for troubleshooting and calming the waters of turbulent situations, and I'm skilled at helping people create positive results in their professional and personal lives. And so thank you for joining today. Thank you for coming in and seeing. Today we're going to be having 2 topics. One is about Black awareness, and looking at some of the things that in just a few short days, here we are, February 7th, and I have been bowled over by some of the things that I've become aware of, some of the things as a white man that I had no idea of due to the fact that I had inaccurate viewpoints of the history of Black slavery in the world. And so today I just want to share a couple of those things and my kind of indoctrination to some new ways of looking at some of the point of views that exist out there that so many people get frustrated with or upset with. And then secondly, the second half, I'm going to talk a little bit about coaching and the integrity of coaching. And my goal will be throughout the course of this podcast, videocast, is to bring nuggets of information that are relevant to coaching and the difference it can make in anybody's life, not only business, but family, faith, sporting, any type of in kids' lives. And, I'll give you a few clues along the way when we get to that point in upcoming shows. Most likely, I'll talk a little bit about that tomorrow. I'm committed to leveling up the integrity of coaching with my own coaching and others that listen to this podcast, videocast. So let's start first with the conversation that I have stepped into this month with, completely unaware that February was Black History Month. Now, I probably couldn't tell you what any of the other months of the year are, if there's any special months of the rest of the year either. So I think I'll probably be paying a little bit more attention as we go through. I do believe November's breast cancer awareness. That's right. I do remember that one. And when I found out and how I found out about it was on a social media app called Clubhouse, which I'm currently streaming live into as well. And inside of this app, normally it's a little bit like a podcast and you can go up on stage and share. But today, in the format that I've created just for this podcast, is to do a half hour where it's I'm just the only one speaking and sharing about this. And as it grows, my intention is to bring on speakers that can be heard on all of the social media platforms and sharing back and forth. Given the technology glitches that I had starting today, I'm not quite ready to be able to open up Clubhouse questioning or open up the sharing of Clubhouse. So I know there's a couple people that have stopped in already. And I see you, Chantilly. Thank you so much for being here. And Tay, and thank you for listening. And I appreciate that so much, because it is really with listeners that we as speakers get to make a difference. And as I go through, um, as I started my day, started the week this week, I stepped into Clubhouse, the social media app, and here I saw these black hearts everywhere. And I went, what is this? And so I did a little back channel and asked a few people, oh, it's Black History Awareness Month. And I'm like, wow, okay. And and I asked my friend who was Black that I was typing, and I said, is it okay for a white guy to have that black heart? And he said, oh yeah, Les, definitely. As if you're in support of it and I'm like, yep, I'm in. So I put a black heart on. Then somebody who I know, love and trust, who's a Black minister, came back channeling me and said, Les, what are you doing with a black heart? And I went, well, I'm supporting Black History Awareness. And she said, do you realize what a black heart represents? Like the symbol of a black heart. And I went, nope. And she proceeded to share with me a few details. And I went, yikes. Okay, well, that's that. And here's why I was, that this was my interpretation, and I can completely understand. So within 24 hours, I had shifted it and put up a black fist. And with the black fist, I then came to hear from another couple of people that it also didn't represent that what I would call a peaceful, loving, endearing situation. And I went, okay. And I pulled the fist down. Now, that was my first, I'm like, okay, so I've struck out twice. Then I went to have a conversation with a friend, and my commitment has been to learn and grow every single month in my understanding of racism, understanding of the white privilege. And I recently read a book called White Fragility, and super excited about that book and the difference that book is starting to make, even in just my understanding. And then I had a conversation with a gentleman who opened my eyes to, and I can't wait to start doing the research that I believe is necessary for me to really understand and have my own understanding based on what this person shared with me. And that was, I did not know that the history of Black slavery, 400 years old, was the longest historical slavery of a population of human beings on the planet. Longer than Genghis Khan, and the most dehumanizing. And that slaves were not even considered human beings. And I was shocked at hearing this. I mean, I knew surface level on some of these things. I've watched some movies and seen how slaves were treated and learned, from history books, but never the comparison between the different countries where slavery has existed, in Persia, and as I said, Genghis Khan, and in the Roman Empire, and in Egypt. So to hear that's generational. that literally is 3, maybe even 4 generations, maybe 5 or 6 of no freedom, growing up into being a slave, not being allowed. And this was one of the key points that he pointed out, not being able to read, or if you were caught learning to read, you were immediately in trouble. And I'm like, what? And I think I remember that in a movie, but I did not remember that from my history lessons. And I was like, how could we do that? And then a couple of the things that really stuck out for me. One, it was a priest that suggested bringing slaves from Africa. And one of the reasons for that was that if they were brought here across the ocean, they wouldn't be able to get home because they would have no way to cross the ocean. And so in that space, he shared with me the slavery of American Indians. Like when American Indians escaped from slavery or from being captured that way, they went and got their tribe, came back and wiped everybody out, kids, children, everything. When Black slaves escaped, they had nowhere to go. And not only that, but they stood out. So there's this whole piece that he shared, and then went on to share that going through and walking and traveling around the streets, moving from place to place, you like, even though I had the experience moving to the United States of being discriminated against because I was English in 7th grade, I didn't fit in, I was ostracized, all of that, yada, 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 all of that stuff. And then when I worked for a Hispanic company, I was the only white guy. And, they thought it was really punishing me. And there was a lot of laughter about the fact that I cleaned the bathrooms. And, little did they know I was in the military. Cleaning bathrooms was no big deal to me. I looked at that, and one of the things he brought up in his communication with me, and I just am so grateful to God for this gentleman coming into my life and sharing this, because he said, look, Les, when you walked down the street, nobody knew you were English and moved here from France. You looked like a white guy and you fit in. For me, when I would leave a situation and go to the street, I still stood out as a Black guy. And so I still suffered that. And this isn't even taking into any account of police or anything like that, just in general. And then the discrimination of just, if you're Black, you're this, with every person, was always in the background. And I started to get a sense of what that must be like if I took what I went through and I could walk away from and fit in until I opened my mouth. And I had that pressure where everybody knew, like in high school or in that cleaning company, and I had that 24/7. I just went, whoa, the suppression, the weight of that every day was, between that, not being able to read, not being able to buy houses, having all those different things, the things that most people know about, the bathrooms, the segregation, all of that, which is the stuff on the surface that everybody knows about. But there's other stuff, as I'm beginning to be aware of it, I can definitely start to see the privilege, the downtrodden that happened generation after generation after generation. And I know I'm just one guy. But that is disheartening. And I can understand now at a whole nother level what that experience could possibly be like, to be born into that. And then at some point, and I've seen this several times in movies recently and in books, and at some point then having to tell your children, who at 3, 4, and 5 years old are playing happily in a playground, and then at 6 years old, 7 years old, all of a sudden you have to be responsible for that difference, and have it sit down with your child and say, things are going to start changing. And to have to educate your son or daughter of this oppression that is suddenly going to happen from having been a little boy or girl playing with your neighbors, nobody saying anything, nobody noticing anything at that age, total unawareness and total freedom, is sad. So for whoever is listening to this, I trust this will support 1 or 2 people shifting their mindset and being respectful and creating a whole new level of communications integrity as they go around and live their life, and showing that respect and understanding. And this is Coach Les, and I'm open to any feedback. I'm open to questions or any back channeling or messaging me. Please go ahead. I'm here to learn. I'm here to make a difference in the world today, starting today, because I know we can transform this planet through communication, and that's my commitment. Now to step into, for a few minutes here, to just talk about something that really I had an opportunity to make a difference in coaching. And what I saw was being responsible for all of the things that I know to do every day, that I have created as part of who I am as a coach. And without it seeming like a checklist, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, up to 100, or however many things, instead of looking at it like a checklist as a coach, but looking at it as completing the circle of opportunity for your client. Oftentimes, I've relied on a client. Every week I come in, I look and see, nope, there's no key points for me to ask or any notes from the week before. And I come in and I ask them, where are you at? What would you like to work on today? What area of your business, your life, your faith would you like for us to look at? Some conversation like that. What I got present to was that a client may choose a path of least resistance in answering that question, and then realize in future meetings that something that had been on their priority list in the beginning, when we were doing the discernment and the strategy for what it was they were hiring a coach for, that had been overlooked due to the avoidance, due to the procrastination, due to the simple, I don't want anything, I don't want to go there today. And with my client, I set a new promise and a new expectation for myself. And that is, all of the sensitive issues that get discerned in the beginning And throughout the course of coaching, to create a list of those points and to maintain the integrity of checking in with each of those points to make sure that I am fulfilling on my obligation. Now, on the flip side of that, I wanted to take the last couple minutes here to share the wonderful world of coaching and one of the documents that I just crafted and updated. And I want to share this from the simple fact that if it can support anybody, and by the way, this is on my website, and I will throw a little banner across my screen here to allow people to know. And you'll see on the bottom of my screen, if you're looking at this in video, if you're on Clubhouse, this information is all in my bio. But I'm going to read and over the next couple podcasts, read parts of this as part of my commitment to the coaching. Welcome to the wonderful world of coaching. It is always an honor to cross paths with someone who is hungry and committed in reaching those challenging and yet ever so rewarding goals. Author unknown. What you can expect from me. The purpose of our coaching is to get you the results that you have not been able to get on your own. You can expect that I will be asking you tough questions to gain clarity around what is stopping you. And with your permission, I will take you through appropriate processes to eliminate those blocks and barriers that are keeping you stuck. The more we work together, the more I will know about your comfort zones and limiting patterns. It will be my job to make you aware of these comfort zones, and my job to challenge, encourage, and support you on expanding your comfort zones, which is uncomfortable to do. You can count on me to be there for you during this growing process. And instead of judging you, I will give you the wisdom you need to keep going. You can also expect to enjoy this process of growth most of the time. If you are not having fun, then something is wrong. We are getting significant. It is my intention for you to look forward to each call because it is all about you. It cannot get more interesting than that. I am always listening, really listening. If I hear something in your voice or notice something that sounds inauthentic or disempowering, I am likely to call you on it. Often, it is the little tweaks in belief that bring about big shifts. And with that, as I close this first podcast videocast, I want to say thank you to the people that stopped by and came to see, and I appreciate it. And I just want to say thank you to Nasli and to Tamara and Chantilly. Appreciate you, the three of you, coming into Clubhouse. And if you have any communication, please send me a back channel. I'm going to be closing this room down and closing down all of the video. And thank you very much for being here. And here's one of my fun little outtakes.
Coaching with Les has doubled my practice.
If you have any struggles in your business or your personal life, Les is your guy.
He's logical, he's empathetic, he has passion for helping people, and his ideas are genuinely thoughtful.
So if you're looking for a business coach with integrity, choose Les Hill.